What's up, golf fans, and welcome to this episode of The Golf Show on the Gruely True Sports Network. This is the second episode of The Golf Show, and you can find us on Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Pacific. I'm one of your co-hosts, Lukas, Weese, here joined by my other co-host who's been enjoying the sun rays and the water in sunny California. Help me welcome to the show, Steve Risley. Steve, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing great, Lukas. Getting some rest after this weekend's golf. I tell you what, I was in many different ways. I was on the edge of my seat all weekend, and we can attribute a lot of it to Tigers play, but not all of it, because there was a lot of great golf displayed, a lot of great golf played, some decisions made on some Ryder Cups, and I think a golf course that was set up so perfectly to create this kind of venue. And I know you were there, and I look forward to hearing your stories about being there. But it's kind of like a confluence of all the stars aligning this week and putting on probably the best show the PGA's put on in a couple of years.
For sure. And we're gonna touch on the Ryder Cup, of course, the 8 automatic qualifiers for the United States team. We're going to obviously talk about the championship, the season's final meet, and all what happened there. But I want to start off the show today, Steve, by a little bit of a somber note. The golf world lost a real great man this past week in Jared Lyle. He unfortunately passed away this past week of this battle of cancer. And on behalf of everyone in the Grueling Truth, we just want to wish our condolences to the Lyle family and just let them know that our thoughts and prayers are with them. Jared was great. He won twice on the Web.com tour. He was diagnosed with cancer at 17. He beat it twice to get back and got a 5-year extension. But unfortunately, it claimed him at the age of 6. But he was really known for his courage and his enthusiasm and energy. And Steve, this week, the golf media and the players did a job to honor him. They all wore the yellow ribbon. I don't know if you saw that, but it was just quite the tribute to a great human being.
Yeah, and I did see that, and I'll tell you what, and I agree, the greatest measure of where your stake is in life is how your peers perceive you and how you're remembered and looked upon by the people that you interact with the most. And what was amazing to me was in that whole week, and it was very noticeable, I don't think I saw one person affiliated with that golf tournament that did not have a yellow ribbon on their hat or on their shirt sleeve or anything, or even the announcers had them on their lapels. And I think that's a testament to what the game really embodies. It's the gentleman concept, the support. Even though these guys are individuals competing against each other, for a stake in the game, but they walk off the course, and you never see anybody walk off without shaking each other's hand, without tipping their hat to each other, and always saying, job well done, or congratulations on how you played. And very few sports do you find that, and very few sports would you ever find a situation where essentially everybody at Belle Reve this weekend, I mean, I started looking for somebody who didn't, and I could find nobody. Yeah, I started who did. It's like, okay, let me find somebody who didn't do it. I knew we were going to try to talk about this a little bit, but I think that's the measure of Jared Lyle and what he means to the game of golf and what golf meant to him, because he showed the game respect, and in the end, the game showed him respect in the greatest way it possibly could. So it's sad that it ended that way, but it's a fitting tribute to his last existence on the tour. And as Alex Scott, his Australian counterpart, said after his third round, everyone see with the touching tribute with the yellow ribbon. So it's definitely a real touching tribute at Belle Reve. But let's get on to our two main topics of the day. Let's start with the Ryder Cup, Steve. And today, Jim Furyk spoke with the media, and the 8 automatic qualifiers on the United States team were announced. And this is a star-studded team.
You got Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Bubba Watson can fire the ball really, really far. Then you got, feisty Patrick Reed and the young kids, Joel Spieth, Rick Fowler, Justin Thomas, Webb Simpson gets in the 8th spot. Comment on this team and how they really shape up for Le National Paris, where you need good ball striking, and you also need guys that can make the big shots when you need that Ryder Cup pressure.
Yeah, these are the automatic qualifiers right now. These are the guys that have, through their play in the last 2 years, have locked themselves into the Ryder Cup, and it's the super elite of the game. I mean, you got Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka all playing probably the best golf of their lives right now. Patrick Reed, how he won the Masters. Jordan Spieth keeps showing flashes of brilliance, and I saw in a note today that he's already been named as the odds-on favorite to win the 2019 Masters. So that tells you the respect that people have for his game. Ricky Fowler is a kid that probably had the best overall performance, or one of the best overall performances in all 4 majors. Always in contention. Just needs to have that one break kind of go his way and fall in his lap a little bit, or just to get that one little push that puts him over that little hump that he keeps tripping over right toward the end of the tournament. Bubba is Bubba. I mean, Bubba's a character. Bubba wins gloriously and he dies gloriously. There's no middle ground with Bubba. But that's what the Ryder Cup is all about. That's what the Ryder Cup is all about. This is a tournament where you don't play not to lose. You don't lay up in this tournament. You go for it. And Bubba tends to be a golfer with 2 green jackets because he always went for it, tends to go for everything. Webb Simpson is a steady golfer, and you need some stability on any great team. You want people that you can count on just to be a yeoman and go out and get the work done. And Webb also is having a great year. So I think the core of this team is about as solid as we've seen for the Ryder Cup team in the last 4 or 5 Ryder Cups. I mean, all these guys are the hottest players in the game right now. And rarely do we get that, because a lot of times you get a situation where somebody played hot for the first season, and all of a sudden it's sloughed off now and really not that hot, but they accrued enough points that they're automatic qualifiers, and they're really not at the peak of their game right now. I would say all these guys are at the peak of their game or accelerating back toward their peak of the game. And that brings us to the list of 7 or 8 candidates that are most often being mentioned as the three of the 4 alternate picks that Coach Furyk will make. And let's just start off with the obvious cat, so to speak. Tiger Woods is going to be at the Ryder Cup one way or another because he is an assistant coach and assistant captain under Jim Furyk. But Tiger's made no bones about it, said it publicly, that he wants to be a player on this Ryder Cup team. Your thoughts on Tiger?
Okay, and we were just talking about I probably just went to go practice my golf swing. Here in Canada, the sun sets late, so we can, practice our golf swing. But Steve, of course, the captain's picks we were talking about.
Right.
And I just think you got to lock Tiger Woods in that captain's pick spot, especially with how he's performed the last, 2 major championships.
Yeah, well, as I said, he's made no bones about it this weekend, the way he's playing, that while he is going to be at the Ryder Cup as an assistant captain under Jim Furyk, he definitely, wants to be a player on this team too. And I don't think that there's a more obvious choice that you can make than Tiger. I mean, I think he's got to be an automatic lock unless he gets injured sometime between now and the decision to pick players or his back goes out, but we don't see that happening. So I think he's pretty much a lock. I think there's nobody in the world that wouldn't want Tiger Woods to be an active participant in this year's Ryder Cup.
Oh, for sure. And then, and then there's the big discussion about a guy like Phil Mickelson. And, he does have 1 win this year, but hasn't done well in the majors, but I would still pick him on the Ryder Cup team. And to me, I personally look at, this is a guy who last couple of Ryder Cups, he's shown up. And he's shown up in a big veteran experience way. And I just think, Jim Furyk, who knows Phil well, knows these players well, I think is going to match Phil up with someone who they have good chemistry, because I think the matchups, especially on Friday and Saturday with the 4-ball and the best ball, are really critical for the American squad, especially with them being on the road in the Golf National. Phil Mickelson in the last Ryder Cup, when he was matched up with Keegan Bradley and how well they played, I think they won every match Friday, Saturday together. So I get Phil has not played well in the majors. He still has some FedEx Cup tournaments to really prove himself, but I just can't see, Jim Furyk not picking Phil just because of that, previous experience and veteran leadership that he brings to the American squad.
I think Phil Mickelson is going to be the toughest decision that Jim Furyk's going to have to make, and I think it's going to be, for all the reasons that you stated, is why you would want Phil Mickelson on your Ryder Cup team. 11 Ryder Cups he's participated in. A tremendous clutch player throughout his entire career. There's no telling what his career would look like if he'd not played in the era of Tiger Woods. We might be talking about him having 14 majors and a career glance. So we might. You'd have to argue that in his favor, you probably would believe that would be closer to truth than fiction. But in the biggest tournaments that I've seen Phil play in, he just hasn't shown me this time that he's got the game. In the incident that happened with him hitting the moving ball, well, I don't take anything other than frustration out of that. And I mean, I've done stupid things on a golf course. We all have. I just think it signals his confidence isn't what it was. And to me, the Ryder Cup is about charging forward and playing to win and not playing not to lose. And I just haven't seen that out of Phil this year as much as I would have liked to have seen it, where I would feel 100% comfortable about making him a pick. Now, I think he's going to get put on the team. And I think in the end you can't, because you have a bunch of young bucks. You can't ignore that, right. And I think he's going to be on the team. But it's almost like I'd like to say, Tiger, I'm going to put you on as a player. Phil, I'm going to make you a vice captain.
Yeah.
And switch those two roles around, because right now Tiger is just playing superior golf at this time. He's playing as good as anybody on the tour right now. He's still healing and still redefining his swing. He's 14 tournaments into it. He's $3.5 million into it. He's the top 30 on the FedEx Cup points. He's cracked into the top 30 on the world rankings again. I mean, he's with a bullet right now. Phil is Phil. Phil's 47 now, 48. The wear and tear of this, of having to go out and play 36 holes. I mean, how much do you have to rest Phil and create different matchups with what? So, in the end, I think Phil will get on the team, and I think it's a good call.
Because I also look, Steve, at some of the guys, who we mentioned who are right on the cusp of just missing the automatic qualification. And, a lot of those guys, like we talked about experience. I mean, you look at a guy like Tony Finau. I mean, Finau, he's played pretty well in the first three majors, he was right there. The PGA kind of, fell back a bit. But to me, I just see a little bit too much inconsistency with a guy like him. And then you go to, let's say, the Ryder Cup, where, there's tons of pressure. I've never been to a Ryder Cup before. It's in Europe, and the crowd, of course, is going to be pro-Europeans all the way.
Right.
I think you need that veteran leadership there with a guy like Phil. That's just too difficult to deny.
And you've got that. You've got that with Furyk and with Woods being part of the process either way, whether as a player or not.
Yeah.
You've got that. You've got the fire in Patrick Reed. You got a bunch of steady Eddies and Justin Johnson and Justin Thomas and Dustin Johnson. I actually think Tony Finau would be an excellent choice because the way he bombs the ball at the tee, I mean, this guy's hitting wedges, and when most guys are hitting 7-irons, he demoralizes you. And I think when you're facing that all day, and you're in a situation where you have to fire at the pins, and you look at his game, and he's not. I think he's one of the 11 players who made the cut in all 4 of the majors this year. I think he was listed on that list. Yeah. So there's a guy who's not afraid of big time golf. He's made the cut all the time. He's got plenty of stamina. He's young, and he bombs the ball, and he keeps it in play. And I just think that in a situation where you're going up in match play against him as a team, best ball or alternate shot or whatever the format is, and you see these drives he's booming out there, and then you've got Dustin Johnson doing the same thing. Tiger's still hitting the ball over 300 yards. Dustin Johnson or Justin Thomas can hit it long. It's like, golly, we just got to we can't even hit the same irons these guys can. So I would make a strong argument for Tony Finau right now. He's hungry. He's too stupid to know what he's getting into. And I say stupid. He's not stupid. He's too naive to know what he's getting into. He just wants to go out and play. So I would be real intrigued by Tony Finau as a captain's choice. And I don't know how many of these guys still have the opportunity. Well, I guess none of them do now because the 8 players are picked. So that's done with. So they're all going to go in as captain's picks now. That's right.
They're all going to captain's picks, and 3 captain's picks are revealed just after the second FedEx Cup tournament, and then just
the last one after the BMW
Championship or the BMW, you got the final captain's pick. I mean, the only thing now is this. I just think, when you look at Ryder Cup, and especially in those singles matches, putting is important. And right now, looking at the putting statistics, Tony Finau is ranked 105th in the world stroke gain putting. You look at a guy like Kevin Kisner, and he's in, the top 20, top 30 strokes gain putting. So, Kisner, especially what I've seen with him, in the majors, I think I would take Kisner over Finau just based on the putting. I just think, when it comes down to singles play, those big moments down, in the home stretch of a match, you need that clutch putting to really come through. And Tony Finau, what I've seen is just a lot of streaky putting. I mean, we saw this week at the PGA. He goes, a crazy birdie, 6 birdies in a row, and then, he then gets a triple bogey. So it's just a lot of that streakiness, which, no doubt he can hit the ball far. And I think a lot of guys can, as we saw.
So what you're doing is you're validating the old saying, drive for show and putt for dough is what you're saying.
For sure.
Basically. For sure. And I get that. I get that, too. Now, I'm a guy who's played on high-performing teams and all that. When I have a bunch of steady eddies I'm looking at on the roster right now for the Ryder Cup that's already on, I want some big play rays. I just want some people that can scare you and say, damn, Finau can drive the corner of that lake and take it right over and either drive the green, or go for it. Because I got a bunch of steady eddies. I got my originator chock full of great putters, great accurate drivers. Justin Thomas virtually never misses a fairway.
Yeah.
Jordan Spieth is as good a clutch putter as there is on the tour right now. I know he doesn't show it right now, but we know he is. And, and Webb Simpson's a steady eddy. Johnson's a long-hitting steady eddy, really. Justin doesn't make a lot of mistakes on the course. So I'm not afraid to put somebody like a Tony Finau on my squad. He says, it's okay to make some mistakes, but, boy, your job is to go out there and just kind of handsome brother him. Just beat the snot out of him for all you hockey fans who know who the Hanson brothers are.
Yeah,
And just pummel them a little bit and go out there and hit the ball 400 yards and knock it down there and make them try to play your drive. And things of that nature. So it's kind of what Eric's going to be up against and what his coaching staff is going to be up against. And, and Tiger's got a lot to say in this. He's going to have a say in who the alternates are.
For sure.
And I know that the relationship between Tiger and Phil has grown in great strength. And I know they respect each other probably more now than they ever – I say they always have, but they've shown it more publicly than they ever have. So, it's good. But I think that, to me, those are the 2 leading candidates. The other would be Kuchar, Matt Kuchar. He's just – he's one of those guys, but to me, he's just another steady Eddie player. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes and go there. And really, when I look at the rest of them, DeChambeau, Xander Schauffele, and Kevin Kistner. I see a grouping of three guys. You can probably pick any one of them and be fine with them. But I don't see any of them as being a motivational type player that comes out like a Patrick Reed's going through an all red, white, blue, and point at you when you're playing, and Tiger with a fist bump, and and you're going to have some of those guys in the team because we're playing over there this year, right?
Yes, they're playing in Europe. So
and those fans are idiots over there. Yeah, they're going to be coming at us with everything. Nobody in the world loves to do anything more than beating the Americans at something. And we're not in our own backyard. And I think we need somebody who's going to, fist pump them right back and get back and give it back to them when we play well. And so it's a tough decision. But I think that's a good look at the Ryder Cup now. We'll just have to sit back now and bear it out. I like Woods. I think Phil's going to be on there. I hope Finau makes it. And from there, I could live with any one of the other four golfers mentioned who are the 7 or 8 that are listed as a alternate pick or captain's pick. You'd be fine with any one of them. They're all playing good golf right now, and they're all going to complement the team one way or another. It's about the best selection that a captain's had in the last 4 or 5 years of solid players playing great golf right now.
Well, I think it's the best team that I think could go pound for pound with the Europeans. And
right.
Top bottom, I think Americans are deeper. They're going to be favored, I think. But again, being in Europe, home crowd, don't underestimate the Europeans because they really come to play for the Ryder Cup. This is their big trophy. So it'll be really interesting to see, the next, with the FedEx. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. But let's shift gears now to the 100th PGA Championship, Steve, that we witnessed this past weekend. A real historic event.
Yeah, and I saw 3 stories. I saw 3 stories here. Let's try and take them in this order. There were 3 stories. The first story, I think, was Belle Reeve. So let's talk about Belle Reeve. You were there. You were on the facility, on the property for 4 days, or maybe 5 days. I don't know how long you were there. But talk about the golf course and the setup and the playability of the course and what that course did for the PGA.
Well, I think this rained on Tuesday, and the course was. We all knew the course was going to be soft, and then of course the rain on Friday in the second round. The second round was rained out. And then all the people on, golf media people were saying, gee, this course is too easy. It's, not, the 20 under is going to win. Well, you know what? 20 under did not win. And what showed at Belle Reeve was a terrific golf course that attracted all the top players to the top of the leaderboard. At one point in that final round, there were 11 players within 2 shots of the lead, and 6 of those 11 players won the major championship. So you have a Belle Reeve that rewarded aggressive, reward players like a Brooks Koepka who, played aggressive, and you know what? They got good results. If you fired in, darts to the hole, you were going to get close, like we saw Tiger did at 15. There was a great variety of holes, and what I really thought was actually, a surprising challenge that came over the weekend. The rough was actually really harder than expected. It was like, not quite U.S. Open rough, but if you got in the rough, it was very difficult to get out of because of all the rain that had come in and soft conditions at Belle Reeve. So overall, I think Belle Reeve was a success. The crowds of St. Louis were incredible. The players were talking about the whole weekend, and just and none of this crazy like at Shinnecock Hill, some of the crazy stuff they would yell. They were just respectful of everyone. They loved of course they roared for Tiger, but they were just respectful of everyone. The golf course produced, and I really hope that in the next decade or so that they go back there because, it produced a really great golf tournament.
Right. Well, here's what I think. I think this. I think the course was spectacular. And to watch it on TV, my wife and I were watching the final round and wondering if anybody on the course was watching anybody other than Tiger play. I kind of felt bad for for Koepka, and the guys playing in the two groups behind Tiger. It's like, is there anybody else on the course watching any of these other guys even playing? Because the humanity of everybody surrounding Tiger and his playing partner was just it was just phenomenal to watch on TV, and it was a real testament to St. Louis. But I think here's the lesson to learn. And I remember this back in 1986, and you're too young to remember this, but when Nicklaus came back and won his 6th green jacket at Augusta used to be set up that you made the charge on the back 9. You took risk-reward shots and you fired at pins. Lately, what we've seen in major championships is this: they eventually started to call the Tiger proving of courses, where they started making the courses so hard that there was no charging, there was just surviving. And with Shinnecock, the greens being so fast, too many pot bunkers that are just unbearably impossible to get out of in the British. And you're seeing these. Now you're also you see a golf course that guys can fire for 10 at, and I don't care. I don't care if the score's 10 under, 15 under, or 20 under. I don't really care about that. What I loved about it, I saw great shot making. I saw guys going for it, and I saw people making decisions to go for the short par 4 or lay up, and strategically making those decisions. But Tiger's not pulling his driver, he's not pulling his 3-wood. He could hit this thing with a 3-wood. What's he not? He lays up, and ends up making a birdie out of it, but what the course afforded these guys to do was use their talents, not use their survival methodology. And that in itself was why I think it's one of the 3 biggest stories and this may have been a mistake by the PGA because the rain came and softened up the course, kept it soft. Guys were having to change their putting style a bit because most time all I saw was a putt being left an inch or 2 inches or 3 inches short. They're all on line, but they just kept coming up short because maybe the greens were just a touch slower than what they would. But it brought more players into the game, and it didn't just bring the bombers into the game because, as you said, the fairways were tight. The fairways, the rough was thick, so you couldn't just spray it everywhere. It ended up being Tiger's demise. His driver ended up being his big demise. But you had that risk-reward factor that if you got it in play, you were going to fire at everything. And you were going to fire at pins, and then you were going to make putts. And these guys went out there on Sunday, and they started playing that course to win that tournament. And that's why you had so many guys that close to the lead on the last 9 holes of that golf tournament. Well, I think the PGA Tour needs to, I understood that the ratings went up 62% from last year's at Quail Hollow. 60% increase in the ratings. I'm sure Tiger's the factor there, I'm sure. But also I think the golf course produced great golf. And I hope the majors all take a look at this and say, man, let's give the fans what they want. They're paying the bread and butter for this thing, and they got a good show. We all got a great show. I mean, there's not one person who hasn't come out and said this was the best PGA tournament in decades that they've had. And you had, like I said, so many guys playing to win that tournament and playing themselves back into it. Rory plays himself back into it. Jordan plays himself back into it. Then they use the risk-reward methodology, and they take themselves back out of it. They play themselves back into it. It's like in the Masters, you see somebody when he drops it in race squeak at number 12, he's done. That's all. He's out of the tournament. He's done. He's gone. You take him out of contention because you can't make it up. Here, you could screw up, and you could go to the next 2 holes and get it back, make it up. I mean, Tiger's finished. Other than a couple of putts, the way he finished that tournament, he's tied for the lead. Yeah, I mean, he made 2 birdies to do it. How many times these guys come in? We're watching them piss away a par because they've had to try something unusual, and they had no chance of recovery. Here you had a chance of recovery on this golf course, and these guys are talented. We should expose their talents is what I think we should do. I think it's a real lesson for professional golf to look at and say, this makes exciting golf. And inherently, golf's not an exciting game to watch. Especially. So they did a great job.
Here, I think that, and you said it right. I mean, you look at a guy like Justin Thomas. He was right in it, after 3 birdies, and then he bogeys the 9th hole, and then follows up with birdies on 10 and 11. Tiger bogeys 14, nearly, lipped out of a par putt, and comes back and birdies 15. So that real, he afforded that aggressive play.
They had a chance to recover. And most of the other majors this year, they had no chance to recover. Once they screwed up, they were done.
Case in point.
Yeah. Two bad drives take him out of the tournament. He's leading. He's tied for leading. He has two bad drives on 11 and 12, I think it was, at Carnoustie.
Yeah.
You know, and he was playing conservative with iron play. And it essentially took him out of the tournament. And here, you know, he made a bad drive, but aside from the fact that Koepka was playing so doggone good, Tiger put himself right back into second place alone in this tournament. I mean, he put himself into it after making the mistake he made on the par 5. So, and I love that. I mean, that's what kept me watching. Because the minute Tiger would have faltered and fell out, I said, you know, I'm going to the pool. I'll watch it on tape later on or something like that. You know, I'm done. But I stayed with it. So I think that's a real testament, something that the majors need to look at, need to bring that back in the fold and say, these are the greatest players in the world. Let's give them an opportunity to be the greatest players in the world and not try and beat them to death with our golf course. You know, and nobody should care about what the score is. You know, I don't want these guys to think that they shoot 5 over, because that's what I would shoot on a great day. If I ever got, 5 over, 6 over would be a great day for me. And I don't want me to think that Justin Johnson shoots 5 over the same way I shoot 5 over. I want to know that Justin goes out and tears these courses up at 18 under. I'm fine with that. I don't care what the score is. You know, I want to see great golf and great shots being made and people playing to win and not playing not to lose. So that's story number one. I think that story number one, I think that Belle Reve shined immensely. I think it was probably the best venue this year for sure what it did. Put on a great tournament, allowed the players to use their talents to the fullest, allowed them to use their minds to play the game, to play aggressively. And I think the big winner here was Belle Reve for the majors this year in terms of a hosting course.
Oh yeah, and I think the USG. Last point I'll make on that is the USGA should take note, because
definitely
what you see because the PGA of America has always had this mindset of let the golfers play, let their birdies, because that'll produce entertaining golf, which it did, and no wonder the ratings were up over 60%. So let's move now to the second story.
Story number 2. Let's talk about Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
And tell a story. I mean, you were there. You were in the media center and outlet. And how did his year progress? Where did he start off at the beginning of the year? How did he get to where he is today?
Well, as Brooks, I had the luxury of being in the post-round press conference with Brooks when he won. And he said this. He had a wrist injury. He had to sit out the Masters. And he said it himself. He was down in the dumps. He was, and there were doubts of if he could ever, pick up a club again and play the game of golf. And, Brooks is always, unfortunately, many people have kind of, unfortunately, in the golf world, they haven't really given him the respect he deserved. I mean, he won at Aaron Hills by that, crazy large amount. Everyone was like, who's Brooks Koepka? Is he going to take, be the next wave of, young golfers? And he wins at Shinnecock by just, surviving the golf course. And then, everyone was like, okay, Brooks, this is someone who we should watch out for. But after the final round of the PGA, this is one of the best golfers in the world. I mean, this is his third major in the 6 attempts that he's played. He has 3 majors at 28. This is, he's the 5th player to win the U.S. Open and the PGA the same year, joining Gene Sarris, Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods. And he did this past weekend, Steve, by being aggressive, using that explosive game. I mean, off the tee, strokes gained, he was second in the field, 1.47. Tee to green, he was second, 2.937 strokes gained. And he was just so clutch when there were wars around the whole course. When Tiger was making the charge, Brooks Koepka was steady, he was competitive, and he made some clutch shots, particularly on 15 and 16, when he just fired some of the best shots I think he's ever hit in his entire career and made some money putts to go on and win the tournament. Because, look, Brooks was bogey holes 4 and 5, and everyone was wondering, is the train going to go off the tracks for Brooks? and then Brooks goes 5 under the last 13 holes to break the 72-hole record at the PGA Championship with 264. So Brooks Koepka, to me, with his game, he's one of the best golfers in the world. And it's finally time for the golf world, because I know some people, out there who are involved in golf don't like Koepka, but this is something that needs to be admired and respected and embraced because he's a guy and he brings an explosiveness to the game, that you haven't seen for some time.
Yeah, I don't think it's that they don't like Koepka. I think it's that they love Tiger is what I think it is. I think that's the way with anybody now. Now, here's the interesting fact. He won this tournament playing his best golf with Tiger Woods breathing down his neck the entire 18 holes. Tiger came out to shoot hot again and started putting, mountain scores right away. And Koepka's got to come in here now and defend his lead, protect himself. But now the last major Tiger Woods was what, 2007 or 2010 or when was it?
2008 was Tiger Woods.
2008, Tiger Woods. So now all these new cats that have come out here, the Jordan Spieths, the Dustin Johnsons, these guys have all won majors without Tiger being in contention. All right? These guys have all come out. Think about it, though. They've all come and won their majors without having Tiger breathing down their back. The crowd's cheering, and you know that every player was cheering every time Tiger did anything. You can be announced and say, what's Tiger doing now? And just knowing that no one looked at the scoreboard, know he's making a run. But Koepka is the first player of this new triumphant breed of players, the Spieths, the Thomases, the Johnsons, the Bubbas and things, who have won a tournament with Tiger just actually being Tiger. And I think that's a testament to the facility, faculties, and the ability of this golfer. I don't think he's going anywhere for a long time. I think this guy is going to become maybe the biggest force in the game for the next 3 or 4 years, because I think Tiger's going to make a run. And it's going to be interesting to see. I think Tiger's going to win another major at some point in time. I don't think he's ever going to duplicate the pinnacle of his career, but the way he's continuing to improve and show up and play stronger golf every week. But I was so impressed with Koepka for how he won and who he beat. He beat Tiger Woods in this tournament when the world was cheering for Tiger Woods. I mean, there wasn't a person on the planet that wasn't cheering for Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And Tiger was cheering for himself and doing all he could to win this tournament. And Koepka played aggressive golf, steady golf, didn't wilt, never played to protect his lead, took the risks, and I think the course allowed him to do that. And I think that's what's great about the setup of the course. And I think you saw a masterful match between those two golfers at the end. I applaud Koepka a ton, and I think he's established himself now as not just he's a hot player right now. I think this guy's got a bunch more majors to win before it's all said and done. Because now he's going to intimidate a lot of people because he's taking on Tiger. None of these other guys have taken Tiger on to the level. They have not done it. And they don't know, they have not seen the pressure of making those shots with that kind of crowd surrounding you and the kind of cheering and stuff and all the noise going every time he hiccups that, the crowd goes nuts if he does something favorable. So I think it's a great story for Brooks. I think he's established himself. He earned that win. He won that tournament, and he did it in the only way I would ever want to win a tournament. That's beating Tiger Woods. I want to win a tournament anyway, but that'd be the best way to win a tournament.
You want to win it regardless.
I want to win a tournament any way I could, but I got the Senior Club Championship coming up in 2 weeks. I want to win the tournament, and Tiger's not going to be in it. But to win it with Tiger breathing down your neck and finishing second and birdieing out the last 2 holes to push you and know you had to make shots. The drive he hit on 18 was just unbelievable. He just crushed it.
Just crushed it. And
you wouldn't say you're all thinking Bondeville, just hit an iron off a tee. You got 2 shots, you can waste one. Just he pulls his driver out and just
I love
down the middle.
Aggression. I love the aggression. And here's the thing too about Koepka is this is someone who, and he said it in the post press conference. This is a guy who has the mindset for the majors, and he said it himself. That his preparation and focus is just laser sharp during the majors, and the numbers prove it. He has 20 major starts, 3 major wins, and 8 top 10s. He had 80 non-major starts, and he only has 1 victory. So this is a golfer who, you look at a Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson, again, a guy with an explosive game, but he wins, the other tournaments. He'll get his 3-4 tournaments on average a year, but he only has 1 major. This guy, Koepka, he's always in the mix now at the majors.
And he will be for a long time.
That consistency, and you're right. He'll be there for the future because
he'll be there.
Most of the game of it.
So let's go to the third story, and obviously it's the elephant in the room. And as much we need to say about Tiger, we all were speculative, hopeful, wishful, and I think now we all have expectations. Is that a pretty fair assessment to say about Tiger right now?
Well, I'm going to say this. I mean, what I witnessed on Sunday, I mean, I saw Tiger, the media center was situated right close to the 9th green. And that was, of course, the hole where he made that brilliant approach shot from the cart path and landed it right in about 5 feet for birdie. And he drained that birdie. And I don't think I've heard a roar like that on a golf course since the days that Tiger, dominated the game. And it was such a surreal moment, Steve, because for me it felt like time, went backwards. We went back in time to when Tiger Woods once dominated the game. And, there were tons of, adults there with their kids. And I bet, some of the adults are saying to their kids, this is what we saw. This is the Tiger Woods that we saw of old here. Right in the mix, giving it all he has. Because look at this, Steve. His driver let him down, and he still shot 4. He didn't hit a single barrel in the front 9. He was able to will himself, brilliant scrambling, brilliant putting. It's that Tiger intangible that he has to once again, able to bounce back from mistakes and just, be right there in the mix. The only, of course, mistake that really caused the tournament was the tee shot from deep. I mean, that driver that he pulled right into the deep rough, and he couldn't really recover from that. It was great that, the birdie on 18, the crowd just roared. It thumped, and you could just see that for the first time, he was really, he was really appreciative of the fans. He was, he wasn't, peeved like he was at Carnoustie. He really understood what this tournament meant to him. And I do believe he's not only going to win tournaments. I think he is going to win a major. I mean, he may win.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I think he is.
Win a major.
Like I said, he's the second favorite pick to win the Masters next year right now.
Yeah.
I saw the early line on it the other day, and now that sports betting is legal in all states now, or has the ability to, so now we're going to get that report daily too. But he's the second highest favorite, right behind Jordan Spieth, to win. I think the thing that what I loved about Tiger was he on the par 5 where he could have taken the 3-wood and probably put himself in position. He went back to his driver, and that's a man of confidence. He knows he's not hitting it well, but to me, and that's what this game needs. It needs people. I go back to the old Tin Cup movie where the player playing against Tin Cup, lays up on the par 5. And, so you'll never win tournaments with pars. Only things that don't last in the PGA Tour last in the world are pros that putt for pars and dogs that chase cars. So I think he went for it. He knew what was on the risk, but he still shows he has the confidence and ability, and he's just getting his body back in shape to where it needs to be. And I don't think his mental strain is where I thought it was. I think he's mentally strong now.
Yeah.
I think he just needs to get physically strong and, get confident with his swing. His swing is good. And I don't think there's much more we can say. I think golf needs Tiger Woods. I think Tiger Woods needs golf. Mm-hmm. I think that they're one of the best marriages in all of sports that define each other and create a venue of success for each other. And I think that everybody that's going to have the chance to play in a championship against him, like Koepka did. Better look forward and hope for that opportunity, because the way Koepka won, knowing that he's going to walk away and show who was in second place and how much of a charge Tiger made, is going to make that Wanamaker trophy sitting in his home forever. I think he gets a replica of it or something like that. But it's much sweeter because the runner-up will be Tiger Woods and not anybody else. So let's start to wind down here. Let me ask you this. Of those three stories, Bellerive, Brooks Koepka, or Tiger Woods, what's the biggest story of the week in your mind? Of those three?
Wow. It's very, very tough because I was there and all three, have a place. But I got to go with Tiger. I mean, it's sentimental for me just because, this was the guy that got me into golf. I mean, when I was, little boy, I remember watching Tiger dominate the game. I remember that chip on, the 16th at Augusta in 2005. I remember him, with just destroying the field at the PGA at Southern Hills and Tulsa. I remember him on one leg at Torrey Pines winning the U.S. Open. And look, we haven't seen him be in this type of contention. I mean, Carnoustie, yes, but he was done after the 11th or 12th hole. I mean, this was right to the end, probably in about 10 years, So for me, to just hear the roars of Tiger, it just felt, I was going back in time. And, not to take anything away from Brooks Koepka, who I really admire. He really hunted tough there. He's going to be around. Of course, Bellerive produced a heck of a PGA Championship. But to me, to have Tiger back in golf, it's just great for the game. The TV ratings are going to go through the roof. And I think the anticipation for next year's major is just so high now, given that you got Tiger playing well and these young players who are at the peak of their game also playing well. For me, Steve, it's Tiger Woods, 64,
and
30%. I got that.
Yeah, my heart says go with Tiger, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think logically, and I started really talking about this in my head, the story to me is Bellerive.
Yeah.
And it's the way the course was set up, because it brought players into the game. It made golf exciting and fun. Ratings were up 68%. This is a time when the PGA Tour is losing sponsors, losing ratings, and this thing jumps by 68%. And I think it's because of the way they set that golf course up. They allowed players, all the great players, not just Tiger, and Tiger certainly is. He's the funnest story by far, because he's the feel-good story, no doubt.
Yeah.
And we all know now that he's going to win again. And we're going to revel in that victory. But the story here is because the message is so important to all of golf is Bellerive and how they set this golf course up and how they let these guys be aggressive off the tee, use their talent, fire at pins, not caring what the outcome was going to be. And I applaud PGA, the staff at Bellerive, and all the players for going out there and being aggressive. And because the players could have easily laid down and said, I'm going to make sure I don't screw up here. I'm not going to hit a driver 340 yards off the tee on 18 when I'm leading by 2, but I can put it into out of bounds somewhere with my length. I'm going to hit it because I believe in this golf course. This course is allowing me to make those and show my talents. And I think the big story here, truthfully, was Bellerive. I don't want to disrespect Brooks Koepka, because this guy is the player of the year on the PGA Tour. He beat Tiger Woods, is the first player to do this in any of these genre of players. But I think the Masters, the U.S. Open, the British Open need to all take a look and watch the film of this tournament and say, we need to rethink how we set these courses up. And we got to put our egos in check and let the players' egos come out and use their talents and play. So to me, Bellerive was the big story of this week. And it allowed everything to happen, because if that course was set up impossible, most of what happened this weekend would not have happened.
Oh, for sure. And for me, look, for my first major championship that I attended, it was just such a beautiful course.
It is a beautiful course.
Real beautiful course. And to me, I just laughed at all those people, in the media and golfers who just said, it's going to be too easy, it's going to be too low. Well, come on. I mean, this is what golf is meant to be. Who cares about that? And,
they put the fun back into the game.
Golf, the PGA Tour in golf really won that day. Of course, Brooks Koepka won the Wanamaker Trophy.
Sure.
Tiger Woods captured the hearts and minds of the crowd.
Right.
But with Bell Reeve and that, as you say, the setup, golf.
Yeah, it was the setup of the course.
And
it allowed
golf
the setup of that course. The setup of that course allowed everything that we saw great about this weekend to happen.
For sure.
You would not have seen that at Shinnecock. You would not see that at Augusta. And you did not see that over the British Open. And but the PGA got it right, whether it was dumb luck or whether they planned it that way. I don't care, really. I just had the most fun weekend, a confluence of watching a guy drive Tiger Woods down on the back nine, watching Tiger make a run, a legitimate run, and then allowing all this to come to confluence and to happen. So my biggest story of the week is Bell Reeve, just in the setup, bar none.
Well, for sure. And I hate to be prisoner of the moment, but I think that was one of the best tournaments in a very long time, Steve. Definitely.
Yeah, and it's no slam on any of the two, but they're great stories. It's a week when three great stories emerged.
For sure.
Koepka emerging as a star, Tiger emerging as Tiger, and Bell Reeve just showing people what we want to see in great golf. Not too over par with guys, hitting a 2-foot putt that goes 20 feet past the hole. We want to see guys charging at putts, pulling their driver out of the bag, playing swashbuckling golf, Seve Ballesteros golf, and playing to win. And we got that all weekend.
Sure.
And it was great. It was a great weekend of golf. So what's on the agenda for next week as we wrap up? Wrap us up here.
We're going to wrap things up right now, Steve. It was great, of course, to talk about the great we had in golf. Next week, of course, we're going to be back on with the golf show, our third episode, Monday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking, of course, about the FedEx Cup playoffs. Going to be coming up, which will be very exciting to see who qualifies the best chance to hoist the FedEx Cup and $10 million in winning the FedEx Cup. So that should be. Of course, you can find the Truth and the Golf Show Spotify. We're on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher. You name it, to find Truth. For Lukas, Weese, Steve Risley, you do the Golf Show, Truth, where the legends